as I was sitting out there, I was thinking, this is really arrogant of you to come up and talk about yourself with talking about humility. But that's the way that it's set up. And I realized I needed to set it up this way as I was preparing the talk, because in part of the pathway towards humility is releasing that stuff that gets in the way. So, I guess starting by, so this is all releasing, by the way. I'm expressing it in order to tell you what I've been releasing. But the culmination of all that releasing is me identifying myself as a spirit with a soul, living in and moving through a Caucasian, heterosexual human being. But there was a lot of stuff that I had to release before I got to this current realization, which is always subject to change. Okay. I was unconsciously indoctrinated. Yeah, that's a good word. I was unconsciously indoctrinated until my teens as a 10th generation descendant of people who got off of wooden ships, started killing the immediate neighbors, and then put up buildings and walls to keep out the neighbors who were farther away. In the course of this, my ancestors also accepted the responsibility of slaves and used them to get very wealthy, eventually even moving out to Missouri, where they owned great tracts of land and became even wealthier, even more powerful. Oh yeah, and then some of my ancestors did something I really don't respect, and that is they became missionaries to the Indians, stealing the culture of and the children of the Indians, the Native Americans. So, a lot of stuff for me to let go of there. I really didn't start to become aware of my family history until my teens, when I started running into all these people that were unlike the people around me at the time. A lot of poor people, a lot of people with skins other than my own, a lot of people with cultures other than my own, and I realized, you know, I'm not any better than them. And in many cases, a lot of them were better than me in various things to do, which was, you know, the beginning of a bit of humbling experiences, which I still have to this day. As a matter of fact, as I was preparing this talk, I was talking with Judy and I was talking with Don. It was like, okay, I guess I don't know everything that I need to do, because they were pointing out stuff that I needed to change. So it continues. It's an ongoing thing. So here we are. I had to release, well, I didn't have to, but I chose to release that I had been kind of indoctrinated to be a member of the ruling class, with all the cruelty and the bigotry and the entitlement and the arrogance and the hubris, the male-dominating patriarchy, and a lot more of these kinds of things. Yeah, some of you are nodding out there. Yuck. Yuck. So, that was how the process started in my teens. I became aware that I didn't want to be like that anymore. I had no clue about how to get rid of this stuff. And it was basically a lot of what in the Unity would be called denials. I ended up denying, this is who I am, this is who I want to be. This is what I want to do. Or in this case, what I don't want to do. Okay, so there are a couple of words I'm going to be using: homeostasis and default. Homeostasis, some of you may think of it as a balance. It is actually a state of health. When we are in homeostasis, we are kind of balancing what is it that we can do, what is it that we can't do. Am I standing here? Am I standing over here? The people that we're interacting with, the life on the planet that we're interacting with, all goes in and out of balance all the time. I have a belief, which may or may not be based upon reality, that we can actually raise our homeostasis so that our balance moves at a higher state of energy as we evolve, as we become more aware, as we expand our awareness to include more than just ourselves. I have no idea if this is based on reality. It's a belief. So, back to talking about myself. I still find it funny. Here I'm talking about myself and talking about humility. But I am included in all of this other stuff. So I was really lucky when I grew up. I never was permanently injured. I always had enough food to eat. I always could find a relatively safe place to sleep at night. I had various means of transportation, including my legs. I even had a job, just about like 99.9% of the time. So I was real lucky. I was really, really lucky. Or I was blessed. Fortunately, despite the fact that I had all these things that I thought I might have been entitled to, I realized at a very early age that I was just lucky. I wasn't entitled to this good fortune. So, as I started to get involved with these really different people in my life, I also became aware that I have to share. You know, those of you who are teachers, those of you who remember, sharing is something that is supposed to be taught to our kids at a very early age. I didn't start learning it until I was in my teens, but at least I did then. So, in researching what we share with in this world today, I realized we have cells in our body, such as mitochondria, that are kind of like neighbors in our body. They serve a good function, they provide energy, but they could survive outside of our body if we were not hospitable to them as neighbors. We also have all of the benign and fruitful microorganisms in our gut that help us take in food and get rid of the stuff that we don't want anymore. And I tried to research this, but I couldn't find anything scientifically, but I have faith that we also have microorganisms in our lungs that help our lungs stay healthy. I still need to research that to find the data that supports that act of faith, but I'm okay with that. So that's the body, and I'm sure there's other things, but we should move on. I also share this planet with all of the other people who have different kinds of melanin skin tone than I do, which there are a lot of. And we can consider these mutations, except for one. One is supposed to be the grandmother and grandfather of all our race. The Caucasian mutation, from my research, is the most recent mutation. So, if we were to look upon it in terms of age. I'm also sharing my life with all of the higher apes and all of the animals on the planet with wrinkle brains who have the ability to hold a thought, such as rats, mice, dogs, the larger cats, and we can go on, but things like that. I actually have not had any encounter with the larger cats, except, of course, with the mesh in between, or the other stuff between, but I admire them. I also share with the smooth-brained animals. The highest evolved, I believe, is what we call the pussycat. There may be other higher evolved smooth brains, but I like the pussycat, so. I also share with the lower evolved central nervous system beings, such as insects and the octopus. The octopus is pretty evolved, but it has a decentralized nervous system, so it kind of fits in that category for some strange reason. All right, and then I also share with the animals who have virtually no nervous system as we speak of, such as worms and other colonies, such as sponges, and even the single-celled animals. Very, very rudimentary nervous systems, if any. But I want to share with them because they're doing me good. Oh yes, all right. Another form of life, which some of you are aware of, is that of minerals. Minerals actually constitute a form of life. It's very, very slow moving. Crystals are a form of that. We actually depend upon crystals a lot in our physical world. They serve as transformers for energy. So, good, I'm already past that. And of course, we share, I share, you share, if you wish, with the planet itself, with Gaia. And I kind of am worried about the health of Gaia, but I know also through the science that I have investigated that Gaia is pretty strong, and Gaia can take care of herself, himself, itself, when it comes right down to it. So, besides sharing, there may be some other steps towards building pathways of humility, or towards humility. Humility is kind of like an ephemeral goal. Benjamin Franklin said that he was going to have, that was something he was never going to be able to achieve. He was looking at all the other virtues and said, I had all of these, but I just can't achieve humility. And humility is very ephemeral. It comes and goes. It's part of our homeostasis of life, our homeostasis of interacting with other people, our homeostasis of interacting with all the other life forms of the planet and the planet itself. Real difficult to scientifically measure using Western technology. But a couple of things I came up with is the Latin modus vivendi, living together. Not just existing, not just surviving, but when we are interacting with others, when we have friends, when we are in a teaching position or any other kind of position, a parenting position, when we are moving beyond just our own needs at the time, we often are assisting others in more than just surviving, more than just existing, in living. Radical hospitality. Something that we can definitely learn in our culture from other cultures is when people come to our house, offering them something to drink, offering them something to drink, eat. If they are tired, giving them a place to rest. Something that I know I need to work on. I need to give them a place to rest because I have only 2 chairs and my couch is still in this cardboard box on the floor. Yeah. I'm waiting for room to put it up. I have on one end of my house in my living room, I have a bunch of musical instruments, and that's where the couch is supposed to be. So I'll have to move those. Speaking as a musician, what has worked for me is moving out of the role of being a solo performer, a solo instrumentalist, and playing with others. It's also a lot more fun to play with others, I've discovered, which has been a very nice, humbling experience. Some humbling experiences have been painful, but that's been a very pleasant one, yeah. All right, so remember I was saying default earlier? Our default sometimes can be looked upon as sleep and anesthesia. We may be uncomfortable opening ourselves up to others. We may feel, okay, I just want to close my eyes and shut down and go to sleep, and I'm comfortable there. We have these places, we have these default positions. And you may be aware of them now that I've spoken it out loud. Maybe, as time goes on. And there's other defaults. I know that my default, much as I have released it, it still is possible for me to be an arrogant person, just like my ancestors, because that's the way I was raised until my teens. And so sometimes you'll see me standing kind of far away from people, holding myself really still, and it's because I can tell that that default personality is ready to come out. And so I'm holding back, I'm holding it in, because I don't want to be that kind of person. All right. So Lao Tzu said, to lead the people, walk behind them. And also, I have 3 precious things that I hold fast and prize. The first is gentleness. The second is frugality. The third is humility, which keeps me from putting myself before others. Be gentle and you can be bold. Be frugal and you can be liberal. Avoid putting yourself before others, and you can become a leader. Thank you. I'm not quite done yet, by the way. I'm going to end with a flash. That's why I got the fingertip picks on. So one of the things I like to do is I like to rewrite songs so that it's not all about me, mine, and I. And so this is one of those songs. And I took out most of the words that have to do with that. And it's real interesting what has come up instead. Seeing trees of green, red roses too, see them bloom for me and you, and think to myself, what a wonderful world. Seeing skies of blue and clouds of white, bright blessed days and warm sacred nights, and think to myself, what a wonderful world. Colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, also on the faces of people going by, seeing friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, love is here for you. Hearing babies cry, watch them grow, they'll learn so much more than we'll ever know, as we think to ourselves, what a wonderful world. Yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Light of God.